Hey guys, Marcus Melnick here with Firearm Mentor. Hope you're enjoying my YouTube channel. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. These little things are free to you and really help the channel. I appreciate your support. Enjoy. Thank you.
The views expressed are not those of local community broadcasting, WYML LP, or its management, volunteers, or underwriters.
Greetings and welcome back to the Personal Safety Show. This is Marcus Melnick with Firearm Mentor and Stress 2 Logic, your host. And we are continuing the conversation with Mark Buchmann from Amidon. Amidon is a product. It's a ballistic material. Looks like concrete, but is not concrete. And we're going to be continuing the conversation. So welcome back.
Some of the additional things we're working on now, Marcus, is a thing called Carboncrete, wherein we, through one of our partners, a company called Product Recovery Technologies Incorporated, or prtitech.com, they take tires and demanufacture them. And I can't get into all the specifics on that, but it's really cool. One of their major products coming out of that is a carbon-based material. The importance of that is carbon is very conductive. It also helps strengthen Portland cement and make it a much stronger material. So we're working with several different groups, including some in academia, to embed the concrete into our Amidon Shield product. What you get out of that is potentially a less amount of Portland that you have to use, which is good because as Portland is actually going through its chemical changes to become a hardened material, it puts off a lot of CO2.
Right.
And of course, that's a big issue, right? So if we can replace the Portland with carbon, we reduce that, which is great. Second part is we're doing carbon entrapment. So for all of the issues about getting rid of carbon in the environment, we're taking care of that issue. Third part, and most importantly from my perspective, is the conductivity of carbon. Because if it is conductive, it can actually act as an EMP barrier. So electromagnetic pulse barrier, those types of things. And we're not the only ones working on this. There's a university that is working on creating carbon-infused concrete to make batteries out of the concrete itself, which is super cool, right? Our focus more is if we can be ballistic blast and electromagnetic blocking material. So now the reason that's so important is the advent of all of these data centers that are out there.
Right.
When a data center goes down for 1 minute, on average, they're losing up to, depending on the size, of course, $1 to $5 million. Now think about that for a second. Also consider that over 7,500 government agencies store their data in third-party locations like AWS,
Right.
Google's databases, all those types of places. So if we can come up with a product that is going to take care of solar flares, EMP mitigation, eavesdropping, all those types of things, and also be blast and ballistic mitigating, then we've really kind of hit the trifecta on a whole bunch of this stuff. And that, of course, would be hugely valuable, not only in data centers, but now also think about secure communications facilities, SCIFs, all those types of things in government. But more and more private sector companies are worried about eavesdropping and those types of things as well. And lastly, if I am dealing with blocking EMPs, I'm also potentially dealing with things like Havana syndrome, which was that targeted radio frequency into embassies and those types of places, trying to truly hurt our individuals by messing with their brains. So all those things become very important to us as we start walking through this. Lastly, and I'm sorry, I'm kind of walking on this,
No,
but
go ahead.
I want to make sure we're good. We do have a patented product that allows you to change, you build your walls and everything else, but it allows you to change what the EMP material is that you're using to block those radio frequencies from penetrating or eavesdropping or anything else. So you have the blast, ballistic, and everything else, but the carbon would add to that if we can do what we think we can do.
Wow, that's cutting edge stuff.
Yeah.
In looking at I'm going to say this. I want to say this correctly. A concrete cinder block comparing it to an Amidon cinder block shape material. I think I said that right. What's the difference in weight?
Very interesting question on that. And what we have found, first of all, they're identical in size.
Right.
And we have contracted masons, literally, people that we know going, hey, you're building this house. Can you come over here and build a wall for us just so we know from a mason's perspective how easy is this stuff to use? And their response across the board was, yeah, they're a little heavier, but wow, they're easy to work with. They're identical to what we use, and we love it.
All right.
So the block themselves is around 39 pounds, so it's not light. But again, what you're gaining by that material is the absorption and the energy dissipation and all those things that you really need to do. We did do tests with the walls once they were built of filling the voids in the middle with either Amidon shield or with just standard Portland cement. And what we found was that really you need to use the armor block material for building your wall, put your rebar in, and then you use Amidon shield to fill those voids. If you use standard concrete, we will not stop a 50 caliber round. We might, we'll stop a 5.56 round. Those don't have too much power in them. A 7.62 will stop several, but it'll go through. If you use the Amidon shield product filling those voids, and obviously there's a period of time where it has to cure, which is roughly 35 to 60 days. Once it's fully cured, you can shoot a 50 cal and it's going to stop it in 3 inches. And we have done that repeatedly. So it's not just, hearsay. We have tested this multiple times. We'll send you the videos of it. No backsplatter, nothing else, which is just amazing. And if you don't mind, I'm going to deviate just slightly.
Sure.
So, of course, we had the fires in Los Angeles and, horrific devastation going on in that area. So one of the things we decided to do is do some internal testing to see what our thermal shock was and what our heat resistance, our R value, was. Thermal shock is superheating a product, doesn't matter what it is. So it's over 1,500 degrees in our case. And you can go higher, obviously. And then dumping it into the equivalent of a bucket of ice water, which is 40 degrees, 35 degrees, whatever it is, respectively. Normal concrete, if you superheat it to around 1,500 degrees and then dump it into a bucket of water, will minimally crack. In a lot of cases, it will literally shatter, which is not a good thing, obviously. Our product, and I've got videos of this where we took just a small block of it because I didn't want to risk too much because I was doing it. We did that exact same thing, and nothing. No cracking, nothing else. All it did was heat the water up, which was super amazing. And the reason why thermal shock is so important is because when a firefighter comes to take care of your house that's been on fire for a while, like in LA, those bricks, that side of that wall, whatever, can be extremely hot. When they turn on that fire hose, that's just water coming out of the main. And that water is going to be a heck of a lot cooler than the side of that house. And what you don't want to do is threaten the lives of those firefighters when they're trying to help you and they're spraying water on the side of your house. You don't want your house to suddenly explode outward towards them and hurt them with flying shrapnel. So that's why it's so important to have a thermal shock test. The second part of that is R factor. And part of the problem that they had in LA was as soon as you hit 451 degrees Fahrenheit, as we all know from the book, paper catches on fire. And so what we had to look at there was you've got these fires raging on the outside, but the dissipation of that heat as it passed through the wall in certain places didn't work well. And so if it was 800 degrees on the outside, eventually it got above 451 degrees on the inside and your fire suddenly happens inside of your house. So we did a very similar test. We superheated one spot in our wall above 1,600 degrees. And then we measured the thermal heat with a laser thermometer on the back side of the wall and also 5 inches to the side of where we had been superheating this, just to see what's it like.
Right.
It's about an 80 degree day. This was tested in North Carolina. We superheated for about 15 minutes up to around 1,600 degrees. Checked the back side, it was 104 degrees. We checked 5 inches to the side, it was also about 104 degrees. Now, the problem with all this, and it's great, I mean, that's great news for us, but the problem is those were all internal tests. We need to go to a third party to do these tests. Problem is, third parties doing these tests are going to charge you $60,000, $70,000. And that's just for one test. And there's about 30 tests that we need to achieve and take care of. And that means we have to have a large bucket of money to be able to do this. So one of the things we are doing, and hopefully I'm going to segue a little bit here, is we are doing an equity raise for the company specifically around the Shield product, because we need the money. We need to be able to bring this product, which we fully believe in, and I will literally stand behind the wall as someone is shooting at it from the other side, not on the same side. But we need to be able to raise that equity in order to be able to fully get certified by third-party companies, not just internal, and also fully bring it to market. And part of the marketing strategy is to go to the insurance companies and say, you need to have your engineers and your architects that you work with, et cetera, start building with this, because there's a lot of insurance companies that won't insure people in Florida now or in LA or whatever, because the houses that they're trying to insure can't withstand the forces of energy from bad storms, or can't withstand the heat from fires and those types of things. And yet we sincerely believe, based upon our internal testing, that it will absolutely do that. Now, when I say internal testing, we have tested for ballistics and blasts by third parties. We have not tested the heat and those types of things, which is obviously critical importance.
So if we have a listener and they're interested in investing, how could they get a hold of you?
Very good question. There's several ways. Obviously, hit the website, and we've got a contact form out there. And again, that's 360 ballistics, 360ballistics.com. The other thing, Marcus, is I will give you my email. It is mbuchmann, which is spelled Buchmann, 2 N's on the back, at 360ballistics.com.
Awesome. I'm going to go back and comment on a couple of things that you discussed. The first one is you were talking about a thermal test, 1,500 degrees, and then putting it in ice water. So basically, you're telling me it's just a normal day in Chicago, or one day it's 40 and the next day it's 1,500. All right, guys, that's not a serious comment. But I'm going to go back to my question. I asked you the difference in weight. What's the difference in cost, like cinder block to cinder block, percentage-wise?
We are selling the way we're doing the online sales, because typically you're not buying a single cinder block, right?
Right.
You're using it for manufacturing, et cetera. So it is 90 cinder blocks plus the Amidon Shield admixture, the chemical, the fibers, and everything that would go into a Portland mix. Plus, obviously, all of the directions of how to do this properly. Because if you don't follow the rules, you don't follow the recipe, it doesn't do what it's supposed to do.
Right.
Right. So it's one of those things where you want to take your time and do it right. Especially if you're building something for your family or what have you, right? So, I mean, you don't want to mess this up. We're selling all those things online. The blocks themselves are about 2.5 times more expensive, but you're also getting a heck of a lot of a benefit out of this. So if I go to Lowe's or Home Depot, I can buy a CMU. They typically take a loss leader on those, which is shocking to me, but when we started looking at the structure, that's what they do. But the blocks at a Home Depot will range everywhere from like $1.50 to $3, depending on size, shape, all the other kind of stuff that goes with it. Ours, if I remember correctly, are selling for around $7.50.
Okay.
So yeah, they're a little more expensive, and I respect that. But again, what you're buying is not just a concrete masonry unit. You are buying a ballistic mitigating block that, if used properly, is going to stop blasts, ballistics, and also have a fairly decent R value.
See, and I look at it a little different. I don't look at it as you're getting a ballistic shield. I look at it as you're saving lives, period.
100%. 100%, yes.
It's awesome.
Yeah, Let
Go
me
ahead.
add one other thing
Sure.
with that. We have worked extensively with Delta Force, with the 82nd Airborne, with SEAL teams, a whole bunch. And a lot of that obviously came out of our live fire training facilities. And when we started working on the Shield product and starting to build the walls, we had those guys work with these. And it's one of the funniest videos. I hope I can find it for you. I have this gentleman who is on one of those teams. I don't want to say which one. He's around 6'6". He's a bull. I mean, he's just, a brick. And we gave him a 15-pound sledgehammer. And we said, knock through the wall. Do what you can do. And he spent a good 10 minutes trying to get through a wall and gave up. Because of the absorption capabilities on this. When that hammer hit the wall, all it did was put a little circular dent of where the head hit, maybe 1/8 of an inch in depth. And that was it. And as he kept on hitting it, it just stayed there. And his comment was, oh my God, I wish we'd had this when I was overseas.
So Delta Force, do you know Chuck Norris? I'm kidding. I couldn't resist. That's Pops. You know me.
That's
I'm a
funny.
goofball.
Well, one of the individuals who we have dealt with, and we actually built a subterranean facility for his training environment. His father, the 3-star General Grange, that is what the Rangers, they have their competition every year. Well, that competition is named after him. And his son became a 2-star general. And ironically, they were stationed together at one point. And then his grandson also was in the forces one way or another. And I've got some videos I will send you that are from a project that we did out there, and it's phenomenal. So, yeah, absolutely. And you'll see some of those guys out there having some fun with our subterranean facility.
That's unbelievable what you do. I mean, not all heroes wear capes. Sometimes people are behind the scenes, like you are behind the scenes, but literally you are saving lives with this product.
So. Yeah.
Unbelievable.
We sincerely hope so. Yeah. Yeah.
What final thoughts can you offer about what you do, the product, maybe something I didn't ask you?
Well, I'm sorry. I was thinking for a second.
That's okay.
It's weird. There's smoke coming out of my ears. The world is changing, and it is sad that it's going in the route that it is in certain ways. But I would rather be able to protect people and save them and keep them alive than anything else. And I know my product works. I know it is. There's nothing out there that can truly do. And here's the funny part is we'll go and we'll talk to State Department or FBI or whatever. And they'll be like, nah, no way. This can't do what it says it does. And then we'll bring them out to the range and they'll literally be the one behind the bullet being sent. And then they'll go up and they'll inspect it. And they're like, this is incredible. I literally have had them shoot 9mm from about 2 feet away. And they're looking for where the 9mm is in the wall. And then I said, no, don't look into the wall. Look at the base. Look at the ground. And down at the ground, they pick up their bullet.
Oh,
Because
wow.
It just stops it, and it just fell down. And that also happens with slugs from a shotgun. You would think a slug would have a heck of a lot of energy. It does. But a slug is also quite large. So as it hits that wall at about, a half-inch in diameter, that diameter and the energy that's inflicted over that larger space just makes it so the slug hits, compresses a little bit, leaves a little divot, and falls to the ground, typically.
That's
it's crazy.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And it's great crazy. It's not crazy. It's wonderful crazy.
Yes. Yeah.
I have a couple of people whom I like to introduce you to.
That would be fantastic.
I know an architect and several interior designers. I don't know if the interior designers is a good match for you. That I'm asking you if it is.
It is because of some of the side products we have, like we talked about earlier, about retrofitting and creating
Okay.
a safe area of our already pre-built, environment.
Okay. I will do that. after this is edited and published, and that way I can send it to them and say, you got to meet this guy. And I'll facilitate an introduction. And I'm just, my mind is blown. I actually saw the product at Mark's brother-in-law has a farm up in Wisconsin, and there's a shooting range built in. And I saw the product. It was a prototype, but it's very impressive. Holy cow. Mark, just as a last question, can you again share your contact information, website, social media, how people can get a hold of you once again?
Absolutely. So if you go to 360 ballistics.com, that is our core website. And then from there, you can look at a myriad of our different products out there, both on the live fire training facilities, as well as on the Amidon Shield side, more for the construction and for the civil world. My contact is M. Buchmann. Buchmann is spelled Buchmann at 360ballistics.com. And I welcome people just to reach out if they have questions, what have you, or if they're architects, or if they want to become a reseller, whatever it is, respectively. We are actively looking, and as I mentioned before, we are going to be doing an equity raise. We need to raise, in all honesty, about $6 million to be able to achieve what we want over the next 18 months. But we see the upside of our company as a valuation of around 18 to 22 right now. And we're calling it pre-market because the Shield product is very new. And although we have the shoot houses out there and we maintain them and all that kind of stuff, for the Shield side, it really is a very new product. So that's why we're calling it a pre-market valuation. It's kind of a lie because we already are doing the other stuff, but it makes sense to us.
Wonderful. Mark, thank you very much for taking the time to educate our listeners about this unbelievably awesome product that you have. Thank you.
Marcus, thank you for your time, and thank you for reaching out. I sincerely appreciate it. And you are one of my absolute favorite trainers out there. As
thank you.
I keep on recommending you to as many people as I can. I think between myself and my brother-in-law, we've helped your business.
You have. Thank you. It is very appreciative. Thank you. I do appreciate it.
And anyone in the Chicagoland area, I'm telling you right now, if you need training, go to Marcus.
Thank you for that plug. That is fantastic.
It's true. I wouldn't do it if I didn't believe it.
I love it. Thank you.
I want my listeners to know that this is my dream, teaching people about safety. If it weren't for you, if it weren't for my listeners, I couldn't live my dream. So on behalf of my family and myself, I want to thank each and every one of you for allowing me to live my dream. And I also want to continue to live my dream, and I'm excited to continue to spread the word of safety. Recently, I began a new service as a conference keynote speaker. So if anyone would like for me to speak at future events, or if anyone knows of an introduction or would like to discuss how we can work with one another, I'd love to do just that. The keynote speaking website is www.stress2logic.com. That is STRESS2logic.com. If you're aware of any conference speaking engagements where you'd like to have me speak, I'd love an introduction. You can always share my electronic business card, which is Marcus Melnick, MarcusMelnick.com. Now, back to the show.
Ladies and gentlemen, tomorrow is Memorial Day, and a lot of times people kind of mix up Memorial Day and Veterans Day. Memorial Day is a national holiday that was established in 1971 and is observed on the last Monday of May. We all know this. There's barbecues, there's parades, but Memorial Day is a day to remember and honor the men and women who've made the ultimate sacrifice while serving in the U.S. military. These are for the soldiers who died. Many people visit cemeteries and memorials, and volunteers place American flags on graves at national cemeteries. It was originally called Decoration Day, and it was first observed after the Civil War and was formalized by a Memorial Day order in 1868. So it is not a day to thank a soldier. It is a day to remember those who have fallen. And speaking of those who have fallen, a horrific event occurred this week outside of the Israeli embassy in Washington, D.C. Two Jews were basically murdered on the street. I don't know if this was a coordinated terrorist attack or not, but my heart goes out to everyone who was affected, whether directly, meaning a coworker, meaning the family members, or vicariously. This is kind of an attack on all Jewish people. Even the United Arab Emirates condemns the murder. Also, law enforcement at a Chicago address went to go question someone. The FBI SWAT team was there earlier this week, and these two people, unfortunately, were killed because of their religion. That's one of the reasons why I do concealed carry training. I want to train those who are in a vulnerable status, whether that means somebody is Jewish, African American. During the pandemic, we had a lot of Asian hate because people blamed Asians for the pandemic. And if you are in a situation, LGBTQ, doesn't matter. If you're in a situation where you're at a higher risk, please reach out to me. My electronic business card is Marcus Melnick at firearmmentor.com. That is MarcusMelnick at firearmmentor.com. Our next concealed carry class will be June 21st and 22nd in the northwest suburbs, and you can sign up for that class, and all of my other classes are listed through September at firearmmentor.com/classes. That is firearmmentor.com/classes. I hope you enjoy the holiday with your family, remembering those who have fallen in military service, and tune in next week for another episode. Thanks, everyone.
We have monthly concealed carry license CCL classes in the northwest suburbs of Chicago. Dates can be seen at firearmmentor.com/classes. If you have a question, we can be reached at www.firearmmentorcard.com. That is our electronic business card, has all of our contact information and links in it. It's the easiest way to get a hold of us. Until next time, stay safe out there, and I'll see you at the shooting range. This is Marcus Melnick from Firearm Mentor signing off. The views expressed are not those of local community broadcasting, WYML LP, or its management, volunteers, or underwriters.